All right, well, we'll call the meeting to order since we're all here. It's 7 o'clock, I think, just right. Yeah, exactly on the nose. And so, yeah, so doing roll call is certainly easier. Now that we're all in person, what a beauteous thing. Oh, I don't have to look up at that screen. We have two. Oh. Oh.
Did you shut it, right?
I know.
Oh, allowed.
Who is that?
It doesn't matter.
Should we just make this possible?
Hello.
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 Hi.
Hello.
Who's there? It says TL.
Ted Levy.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
You're here for the Conservation Commission meeting?
I'm very interested in what you have to say about the preserve.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Great. All right. Well, we're just getting started.
Okay, yeah, so we were just doing roll call, so we'll start around the table. I'll just start on my side. Ted, you're the only one on Zoom, but Christine Piccolo, the chair of the commission.
Peter DeLisa.
Mike Osnato.
Karen Junior.
Larry Ritzhout.
Lynette Wacker, staff.
Karen Kelly Bergman, clerk. Yeah, so Karen, I'm glad I did introduce you because I would have butchered your last name, is here as a guest and she is interested in the commission joining. I think you said you had listened in on one of our recordings from probably the last meeting. Yeah, a couple times. So I invited her to come. She was going to come last month and we didn't meet. So yeah, so welcome. Thanks. Yeah, no, this is good because we have a forum. And just quickly, I had sent a note out to the group. So we had another member, Kelly Hartshorn, who resigned, I guess last month it was, in the beginning of like October or in October, November. Just citing family reasons. She's got a different job. I think her husband has a new job and just life getting in the way. So we're really sad. She was sad to leave. We're sad to lose her, but we do have an opening. So anybody that knows anyone can recruit them. Okay, let's see. Let me follow. Okay. So new business. Let's start with the meeting calendar and the meeting time because we have talked about this a couple times. I'm not sure we really ever settled on 6 or 6:30. I noticed on the calendar it says 6, unless I'm wrong. Did we really decide on 6? I'm just going to.
Well, you could also revisit the daytime meeting because Kelly was the only one who couldn't do the daytime meeting. So that's also still on the table if you're interested.
Yeah, I think 6. Oh, you mean earlier?
Yeah, if you wanted to meet at 3 or 4.
Hey, Larry, does that work for you?
It does. And
Works for me
frankly,
too.
I'm more flexible than anybody that has a day job. So.
Yeah, day gets a little funky for me because of my other board. I will have meetings. Depends on how early, I guess. I probably 4 o'clock would be probably safest for me to not have conflicts. Anything earlier than that might be.
It works for me.
I'm good with that.
But I don't know that we can really alternate. I think that might get confusing a little bit.
That
It really will. I think we should, particularly even for just anyone who wants to be a guest. I think all of the meetings are really pretty set in stone in terms of day and time. So,
So do you want to have anyone else have any objections to going at 4 instead
The
of
Board of Selectmen needs it a variety of different times. They move their meetings all over the place.
well, I guess I'm just going to voice my opinion that I prefer not to do that.
Okay.
Even if they do it, I think it would just be, it'll be harder for me personally as a chair to just try to keep
4 o'clock is a good time.
moving
for
along.
me.
4 o'clock. I'm sorry, you're saying.
Yeah, no, 4 o'clock is good.
Oh.
The only thing I'm going to say, if we end up, the only downside to that is if we get someone else younger, like a Kelly, who has a job, then it's going to be harder for them to attend, and that's the only downside.
Well, that's a fair question. I mean,
Yeah.
so does anybody object to leaving it at 7 then?
Or 6. I
Or
think
6,
6
that's
o'clock. I think 6 is just. I think 6 o'clock might not be a bad thing, and And then we can always visit it next year to see, if all of a sudden we see, no, 5 really works, because I think 6 at least is easier. We get out of here at a reasonable time. 7 o'clock is, by the time we finish at 8-ish, I'm ready for pajamas.
Donna had responded after 10 or later works for her.
Oh, okay. Oh, thank
So
you. Yeah,
it
that's
seems
right.
to be
Donna's not
okay
here.
with her, according to her response.
Well, I'd like to propose 6 then. That might be a good compromise.
I think that interferes with dinner.
6 does?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
I
true.
mean, a lot of people eat at around that time.
So 5?
Well, almost everybody is here, so
If it's gonna be 6, it's gonna be 6, 5 or 7 or 4 is better.
4. Well, we'll try 4 then, I guess.
About 5, only because I work occasionally and
Yeah,
that's often difficult.
yeah, no, I think 4. All right, well, let's try
If you do
5.
5, you might not have to adjust to a younger
Yeah,
person coming
yeah,
up.
I
It
know.
might
I
still
think,
work.
yeah, that might be a good,
Yeah.
yeah, because I think by the time you
5 is
can, all right. Well, that's thinking.
yeah, no, it's probably fine. Probably fine with me.
We need you. We can't
Oh,
have,
you don't,
oh, yes, we do.
but I think Tuesdays.
Okay,
For me, yeah, I'm just wondering, I can't think of any other reason why 5 would not work.
and I think you'd already checked this room was open. There was no one in
Yes.
here
Yes.
earlier, so. All right, well then I guess, we stick to the Tuesday, but I think we need to make a motion, right, to do a formal vote for this?
So, yeah, you have to make a motion to approve this calendar as presented. You all got a copy of this in
Yeah,
your.
except changing the time to 5.
And then change the time to.
Yeah, right. All right. So do I have a motion to approve the calendar as presented? It was in the email that went out to everyone from Lynette, basically staying the second Tuesday of the month throughout the year, other than instead of saying 6 o'clock, so choose to say 5.
I move to accept the calendar as presented with the exception of changing the time for meeting to 5 p.m. instead of 7.
second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay, Karen kind of abstains. All right, well, great. That is approved, right? Yeah, let's move on then to the minutes from October. Which seems like eons ago. Everybody's had a chance to relook at them from back then. I know I can say I did not see any edits. Other. Okay. Then we'll have a motion to accept the minutes as presented for October 11th. We need a vote, yeah.
So,
All in-
second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay, so the minutes are approved. Okay. Correspondence and announcements. So I already announced about Kelly. I think at this point, let me put in, it sort of comes into correspondence. So I had sent a letter to all of you back before our November meeting that we had talked about sending to the Planning Commission, the Zoning Commission, the Zoning Board of Appeals, Inland Wetlands, and Board of Selectmen. And it all had to do with the tree ordinance proposal. I don't know if you guys, I printed it off.
Well done.
Lynette gave me some
Thank you.
comments back in the day. I didn't get anyone else carrying the welcome to have one. Yeah. So we had talked about, yeah, just that, it's not a new topic for this commission. For as long as I've been on here, there's always been concern raised about whether it's electric I mean, Eversource cutting trees on Main Street or, noticing that a business is cutting trees. So basically the letter is just saying, of course, I gave away my copy here.
Atlas cut down some big
Yeah, Atlas, that was the one that really raised my eyebrows when, I don't know what jurisdiction they have, but I think at least here's a proposal to say, is there something that the town can do and certainly take that into consideration when any business goes before the, zoning regulations. And I think there's already requirements to some sort about planting trees, but it's also thinking about taking down a very mature tree that is, for all practical purposes, healthy.
Because here the Coles development that Big White took down for a lot of trees, and now there's 6 acres right on the other side of 95 that's been sold. There's a sign up for that. That's got some beautiful trees.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think, I think it, to me, at least the letter was pretty straightforward. I don't know if we need a formal vote on it. Do we need a formal vote?
It doesn't hurt to do that.
So
Yeah, are you good?
I move that we send.
Co-chair?
I move that we send the letter as written by you.
Yeah, okay.
Quite nicely to the Planning Commission, Zoning Commission, and Zoning Board of Appeals, Inland Wetlands and Watercourses Commission, as well as the Board of Selectmen.
I'll second that.
Right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, yeah, and this, by the way, this was, Chris Costa and I had a conversation way back in the summer, June or July, that we just met to just touch base. And I had brought this up and she said, no, this is something that we can do. It's completely in your purview to just send the letter. Karen, we're not a regulatory body of any kind. We can only make recommendations, but I think our voice is heard when we put it out there. So I may work with Lynette to just figure out how to get this circulated, or whether it's via Chris or I just find out that he contact people for each of these groups. And
You might want to send
Okay.
this as a copy just for information to the garden. Talk to a couple of people in the garden. They'll be very, not that they have any formal standing, but
Yeah.
they're a very prominent group in the community, a very big group too.
And the eyes and ears in the town.
yeah, no, that's a great idea. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, do you know who is the
You know, a couple,
head of,
I don't know. I should probably look it up.
I should,
We can
yeah.
Find out right now.
My wife is the environmental delegate on their board.
Oh, well then,
Good.
So I could carry it to her.
yeah, no, she's probably got,
Yeah, and she'll bring it to their meeting.
okay, all right,
Yeah.
that'd be great.
And she's
All
on the
right,
executive board, so
okay.
she's a good contact.
I'll take off the draft, sort of watermark sort of thing that I put on here and, give you the final
Okay.
copy. Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Do you want me to send you the letterhead, or would you like to send that to me and I'll put it on the letterhead?
Yeah, why don't you do, yeah.
Okay, so will
Yeah.
you email that to me?
Yeah, because I think I sent it as a Word document, but it was a while ago that I sent it to everybody.
If nothing changed, then I have it, but
Nothing has
I'll look
changed,
for
but
it.
I'll double check and we can touch.
maybe I'll
base.
just make a copy of it for now.
Well, no, I'll send it to you electronically. Okay. Oops, these people.
Speaking of trees.
Speaking of trees, that's right. All right, so let's see, send to Peter, via to the garden club. Yeah, no, that's a good idea. And then to Lynette, for letterhead, yeah, thank you.
Christine, would you mind if we shared this with a couple other groups? I can tell you right now, my wife is on the historic commission. They're very concerned about this as well. Because they talked about it, and I'll tell you other groups that you would know well. The Rotary would be very interested.
Oh,
The
yeah.
more groups I think that we have that bring it to the town's attention, the better.
Yeah, because the more people that has a voice about a tree ordinance, and interestingly enough, I did some research, because I think Peter might have said, or Michael suggested do and see what other towns do, and no other towns have a true tree ordinance, and there's a tree warden in Essex, but she functions very much like our tree warden, which is, not very active. They don't really get involved in this kind of thing, you know,
There
so
was a large tree taken down by mistake on North Cove Road.
was that by mistake? Because that was one I
By
saw.
mistake.
Oh,
And that's why the Historic Commission got up in arms about it. That's why they got talking about it.
yeah, no, I saw that. I was
Yeah.
out running one day and,
Town property. Wow.
oh, it was. I thought it was private. That was, because that tree, the diameter must have been, oh, it was huge.
But it was the homeowners that took it down?
Homeowner contacted a tree company,
Yeah.
Iverson, and they came down and took it down. And they probably should have known better it was on town property. They do a lot of work in Saybrook, you know? But anyway, it got taken down and it laid there for weeks at a time. In order to cut up limbs. And a call got involved and finally forced the tree company to take it out of there. Call was really upset about it, too.
Wow. Now that's interesting because I saw that. And I thought, well, and I just figured it was private property. So,
Does we had talked about this before, I don't remember where we came out. I thought Old Saybrook had a tree arborist. An arborist
There's
in town, a long time ago and not really
I'm
active
not sure
anymore.
about it. I know there's a warden,
Maybe that's what I meant.
but I think it's
I didn't even know who that is. I don't
I
know.
don't either.
it's somebody on Save a Tree.
Is it?
Sounds like a
Seriously.
conflict of interest.
I'm pretty sure.
It
I think,
is
yeah, okay.
Jim Kiley. Yeah, I've met with him a few times. He's helped
He's
us
a nice
with,
guy. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, he's done some work for me.
Yep.
Good guy.
yep, he is. And he's worked with us on a couple of projects. But he works, you know, he's called when he's needed.
Yeah, right,
He's
yeah.
not out there driving around looking at, you know,
Yeah, it's no fault to theirs. It's
it's just a very, very part-time
yeah.
person.
And I think even whoever it was before that, it was the same thing. It's very, very part-time. So, all right, well, thank you all. We'll get this going straight away and they wait. We'll send out the final copy. Actually, we'll send it out to everyone and then certainly Peter, you'll have it for your wife and then Mike, if you want to pass it on to others.
I'll give it to my wife to give to the Historic Commission.
All right. Any other announcements?
No, not for me. Mm-mm.
I mean, the only thing I would mention, I guess, under this is that Lynette and I went to the Khaki Wick annual meeting back in October, which again seems like a long time ago. And we, and it was very good. You know, the one talk that I went to, because the keynote was around, I'm trying to remember, it's very legal kind of stuff that was interesting to hear.
50th anniversary of the wetlands law.
Yeah, the wetlands law, that's right. So it had a lot to do with instituting those laws and what's happened over time and so on and so forth and how they represent different people. But I listened to a talk on garbage and it wasn't just the whole recycling thing. It was a woman from, I believe it was Bolton. It was a smaller town, not like a big, you know, Hartford or whatever. And then also a woman from DEP. So they made up the panel and did a presentation and they took it to the next step to say, like, yes, we can recycle and yes, you can compost, but we really need to reduce our garbage. And it had a lot to do. No, you weren't in on that one. And so I think in next year, if we have any kind of event, I would look to inviting the woman from Bolton and even the woman from DEP to come and talk at something, because it was just very informative and it wasn't preachy, but it was also, and the DEP woman said this, she said, as far as the whole recycling and worrying about the little, you know, the little triangles and the numbers, she said, if it's plastic, put it in there. Don't worry. Like this kind of stuff, the thin film, no. But she said anything plastic and foil. I didn't realize that you could put like foil and the foil things in there too.
Have to clean.
Yeah, it has to be clean. They did
Oil.
stress that. It has to be clean and
Or the
all of
machines.
that. But they said at the same time, we know that a lot of it doesn't, it still ends up in the trash and we have a huge problem with the incinerator, you know, in Hartford's just not even in use anymore. And, you know, anything we can do. And the lady from Bolton talked about how they're much more organized and a little more proactive on their free table, like we have at the transfer station, but they actually have a whole little hut. And I think the Rotary's trying to build some sort of a,
We're waiting for to work with
Yeah.
Larry.
Yeah.
We'll put the funds up for. building a enclosed facility.
That's terrific.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Like
all the
recycle,
things,
right?
yeah, and so, right, just recycle, like, just, yeah, you can just be so much more proactive. But anyway,
What
I don't
were
know
the
if-
other sort of big things that they said besides recycling and like.
I'm trying to remember, I didn't bring my notes, I didn't even
I
review
just thought
them.
maybe there was something.
Yeah, it was, no, it was really more like encouraging people, like, kind of like the article that Mike wrote, and we put in our newsletter. It was, using your Tupperware and not just
And,
at home, and just little things, like I just,
I'll take them home and recycle. it.
buying your, liquid soap in bulk, and, using, just, if you start looking around at all the plastic bottles we have.
It's incredible.
It's very difficult
It's-
to reduce your trash when your only options for purchasing things
Are-
are in these containers that
I
they're
know.
that they're in, especially if you have kids and everything comes in.
I
It's in a
know,
bag and then they're individually wrapped in little bags and
yeah, I know.
it's really, I mean, if you want granola bars, you have all that packaging that comes with it, then there's no other
Even your
options.
pharmaceuticals are all in plastic bottles.
And those aren't recyclable. they're-
I know, they're not, they're actually not.
So we don't have a lot of choices.
Then I guess,
New York takes them. New York City will
Really?
take them.
Oh,
so they more or less are, but who knows?
Residues, things.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think it was, again, it was 2 months ago, but I have to look at my notes. But I think it was just something that, the messaging was just making, it's just like little tiny baby steps that we all can just keep taking that, like I've just, I was getting probably way too much information, but I just went back to using bar soap. Like, what happened to bar soap? Like, what is wrong with bar soap? Yeah, with liquid, I can take it to the gym, but I thought, no, those little containers that I used when I was in school, like it's bar soap. I don't have to use a container. So,
Buy laundry soap in little sheets too. That's what we do now. Comes in a cardboard box and they're little sheets. You tear them off and
oh,
they go in your wash. They're great.
really?
Yeah, we
You
use
don't have
them.
that big, heavy.
Yeah.
Too.
You do?
Yeah,
Yeah, they might, I'm sure they're a little more expensive, but it's so worth
you can
it.
get them for a dishwasher too now.
Yeah, yep. No plastic.
Yeah, I have, well, we get the box, but I'll have to look for that. Where do you get them at?
Amazon.
Oh.
These
and
are
then they
my
deliver in a big box.
We're trying. Yeah, well, it's probably, cardboard's probably a little bit better than that heavy duty plastic
Yeah.
stuff, so. But yeah, anyway, so that was just, I think, next year when it comes around, it's always, it's just really interesting, I think the talks that you can hear and.
I thought it was very, very good.
Yeah, got a lot out of it, so. Okay, let's go through the committees. Inland wetlands.
Again, I don't see anything new other than the continuation of the saga next to Coles,
Yeah.
which is just
62
Yeah,
sites
that's
are
what I'm talking
planned
about.
still.
slowly moving along with changes.
Hmm.
They're still proposing a grocery store and
In-
now they're down to one drive-through.
One, instead of two,
What's gonna go?
instead of three buildings. it's down to
They're
two.
not saying,
Oh,
they haven't identified a tenant.
So Whole Foods, it's not the Whole Foods.
That was across the
That's
street.
in Benny.
That's in
Across-
Benny, so
yeah,
yes, that's right.
that's right.
Thank
That's
you.
if it goes.
But there are wetlands in there, and that's why they're in the wetlands.
Yeah.
division. A very valuable wetland, I guess you'd call it, is not on the parcel, but on the town-owned parcel directly adjacent to it, so it's. And then there's two
There's
smaller.
6 acres,
wetlands
I
on
think,
that
that they sold. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Is it the private piece? I think it's the private piece.
The part
6
that they're
acres, yeah.
developing?
Yeah, 6 acres.
I don't know exactly. That sounds about right. So, yeah, the commission's working with them to try and reduce the impact.
There's another big parcel for sale up along there, along 154, 124 acres. I don't notice any action. There's a big sign up there.
Is that in Old Saybrook?
Oh, yeah, it's right by the entrance to 95, right before Atlas. Right on the right-hand side,
Oh,
124 acres.
Middlesex Turnpike.
Yeah.
Oh, where that
Oh.
old Victorian house sits up there.
Yeah.
yeah, I was,
There was that much property.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that's commercial too. Along there.
Yeah, probably is. All right, well, it's good that they've got their links into this and see what happens. Preserve Management Committee. So I did send out to you guys the proposal that's going to be going before the CMC, which is the formal committee that's made up of Carl, representatives from DEEP and the state and so forth around, you know, needing to do the vernal pool study again, because there's just so many more in there. And we really just ran out of time this year because just things dragged on. So it will happen hopefully in May. I mean, I'm sorry, in the springtime. And then, which you know, the feeling is that will quote unquote sort of dictate what kind of foresting, if anything, that we would do in there because of the access and so forth. So I think there's a lot of support for getting that done. I don't think money is an issue, but anyway, that's sort of the latest. And then in terms of, as best as I know, you know, there's huge recognition for the preserve. It's not talking about Great Cedars, that a lot of the trails need to be remapped. Some of them need to be closed. Some of them need to be formalized because the bikers have gone in and mountain bikers have, you know, made new paths. But again, it has so much depending on the vernal pools. So, you know, eventually they will be remapped in whatever degree that they need to be, and, you know, potentially reposted, and then create the GIS and all the, you know, you can use your phone and be able to see the, you know, where you're going and the trails and stuff.
So those vernal pools were identified in the state report that came out.
Yeah.
So now it's time to say, okay, what does that mean to this?
Yeah.
and that?
Yeah, not every single one of them, other than, you know, the
So-
biologist has said he just needs to go back in there, because I think there's just a few more, you know, even since they did the initial study. Like, I think the initial mapping was done in what, 20?
Took a long time. to get
It took a
the
long
report,
time.
2
It took,
years.
yeah, took a really long time for the report.
Yeah, I would think that Carl would be very interested in this grant.
Oh, for the
$9
trails?
million grant,
Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, so part of that, and I think, you know, anyone's welcome to go. The CMC meeting is Thursday at 9 o'clock here. And, you know, it's open to the public. I'll sit there. I don't always go. I've been on Zoom a few times, but I tend to be quiet, but I do like to listen, and it will be proposed. And if there's an opportunity to say something about the grant, I certainly will. I would hope he would be aware of it, but, and the state as well, DEP. So that is the latest with preserve. Yeah, and we did not meet. We didn't meet in November. We didn't have a quorum. So Ray had just sent out the proposal to the group, and I passed it on to you, and including the Chalker House. That was sort of an FYI. Everybody had a chance to look at that. I had no idea the history of that. I drove by and said, I can't believe this eyesore is here since I moved into town. And
Well, the historic commissions were trying to get somebody to take
yeah,
responsibility for that for a long time.
it's that, you know what I'm talking about, where the
Red House.
Yeah.
that red house down by, yeah,
It is falling down.
yeah. So, but
Needs a lot of rehab, that house.
the pictures that they had, the picture from like a long time ago was like really cool. Oh my goodness. I guess structurally it's still pretty sound.
He's shocked at that.
I mean,
Well, it said, yeah, it would need a lot of work, but I was even amazed that they even said that it could be like
A lot of work.
restored. I would have thought,
Well, anything can be restored if you have the money, you know.
yeah. Yeah. So,
1735.
1730, 35. It's one of the oldest houses they found.
yeah. So anyway. Okay. Let's see, land trust, that was Kelly, so we'll just have to hold off and get someone else on there.
They're trying to buy some more, or get some more land somewhere. I think up on the top of Monk Road. I see, yeah.
and so
Oh,
so the old Saybrook Land Trust is
oh,
is close to purchasing the 24 acres. Right?
Yeah,
Something
well,
like
I don't
that.
know how much, but I
It's
know
just
they're
down past the marinas before you turn into Otter Cove,
Yeah.
that chunk.
oh,
And there'll be another group that I work with, basically, is probably going to provide some money for them.
good.
Just do that.
Great.
So,
More land, the better.
so I'm hoping that'll happen pretty soon.
yeah. It's not that big open space that's been for sale.
I think it is.
It is. Oh,
Isn't it?
Like
It's
a
right
big
there.
meadow, yeah.
Yeah, in the corner, the meadow's there, and then it goes further back.
yeah, yeah. Oh, that would be, yeah.
There is some wetlands back in there, and whether or not it would be suitable for a kayak launch, I don't know. Just looking for another opportunity.
Yeah. Never know. Okay. Parks and Rec?
Parks and Rec, based on their minutes, everything seems to be going along just fine. Did I write anything else down here?
It's a beautiful job in our gazebo.
Yeah.
The gazebo, is beautiful.
Put that together.
Green looks terrific, doesn't
Yeah, very nice.
it? Yeah, very nice.
Very kind of noisy, but I like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably a little quiet for being in. So.
Other than it was in their minutes talking about getting a grant to do another vernal pool study, and we talked about that.
Oh,
Parks and Rec.
yeah.
So that was in their minutes.
Is that for the preserve or is that for somewhere else?
So, that thought.
Let's see, we don't have Maddie here.
No, she couldn't make it. She has a track meet.
Oh, okay.
Good for
Yeah, indeed. Before we go past, we had talked, so we didn't meet last meeting before that, we talked about going out, finish marking the trails. And I said, okay, so do you want to get the high school students together and we can get together and try to take one Saturday or whatever day works for people and go out and we can finish the trails in Great Cedars, both east and west. And
Who do you work with at the high school?
what's that? I don't work with anybody in the high school, but
The Interact Club was very active there. They were in a presentation.
okay,
The Rotary last week, they're always looking for projects and they have about 30 students in that club.
okay. Because she was talking about the environmental club.
Well, maybe.
Yeah.
As well, so we can, doesn't mean we
Interact
can't.
Club is a service club, yeah.
Try to get both of them.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have a point of contact? It used to be one of the junior high school teachers, science teachers.
I can get you the name of the one, the
That would be
Interact in the high
terrific.
school.
Yeah, because if it wasn't, the one that I would even suggest too was the woman, Karen Carlone, who's a teacher, biology, chemistry, environmental
That's it.
sciences.
She's an ecology club.
Carlone,
I don't know who
How do you
is
spell
that.
that?
Carlone, Carlone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Carol
First
Carlone.
name again? First name?
Karen.
Karen.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, she was the one that she reached out to Land Trust and others to say, hey, my students are interested anytime you have something going on. And then she got me Maddie. So she'd probably be someone who is worth a try, Larry, to see.
Okay, so why don't I do this? The idea was that sometime in January, after the first of the year, we said, okay, through the holidays, it'd be kind of hard. We'll try to get out on a Saturday or whatever day works on a weekend.
Yeah.
They could show up and just take one last sweep through it. We'll have to print some maps out so everybody has a map and
Mhm.
bag full of markers and then.
Yeah. But yeah,
Split up
we
into
never-
small groups and go this
Yeah.
one.
We never did do
Great Cedars East.
East.
Very
Yeah, Great Cedars.
much
East.
detail.
Yeah, I have nails in my garage and every time I look at them, I said, I should call Larry.
He's got the hammer.
Well, you have the bag of all the
I do.
markers at this point
The
too.
markers we have left. Yeah.
But, that actually, you know what, if you think of it, Larry, do a little check of how many are in there because I don't think there's a ton and I have to check with Ray. I know I asked him to order more, but I don't remember now because it's been a while. What we need or don't need out of the red, yellow, blue. Then I can check with him or you can check with him how many he has.
So we've talked about this before, and that's the last thing I need to say about this is basically if we go out and do this on a Saturday and the high school students come and participate, I assume that we have funds, we can buy hot chocolate and donuts
Yeah.
for them or something.
Yeah.
I'll just-
We can do that.
Okay.
Okay,
All right, so sometime.
Yeah,
in-
that- yeah,
I'll reach out to
yeah.
those,
yeah, that would be great. Thank you.
Karen Carlone, if you have another name, Mike, that you can supply.
Just
Okay.
emailing,
Terrific,
right now, thank you.
you bet.
Then let me know when that's happening, because I want to connect with her in preparation for Earth Day.
Oh,
I don't want to wait till the last minute.
Good idea.
I'd like to make contact with the Ecology Club, and this would be an initial time to do that.
Okay, good idea.
mosquitoes. Okay, all right, Maddie's not here. Sustainable CT.
Sustainable Connecticut, we were recertified, silver certified in 2020. That lasts for 3 years. So already our certification is expiring this upcoming year. So we're going to need to reapply. We're working on documenting all the actions that the town's undertaking. And I was going to talk with Maddie Bodwin tonight about maybe possible ways that they could help. She's not here, but we could save that for next month. I had some ideas for things that they could maybe work on that we could apply for credit for. But one thing that sort of ties into that is this would be eligible for credit under Sustainable Connecticut. Is we found out that the town's allocated $50,000 to help to begin controlling invasive plants in Old Saybrook. And Carl asked me to try and bring together a few stakeholders to discuss strategies for starting to do that. One of the important pieces that we thought was educating the public about invasive plants. So to begin with, well, we did have a meeting, so I'll tell you who was there. It was some people from the Land Trust, Barbara Gunther, Bob Lawrence, John Ogren, Jim Therian from the transfer station was there because they deal with, they take in people's brush that they bring, if they cut down a bunch of plants, their house, they can bring them there. Kathy Connolly, I'm sure you all know Kathy Connolly, and Ray Allen. So there's some strategizing, and what they came up with was to focus step one on education. And one of the tasks was to try and put a lot of information on the website about invasive plants. What are they? How can you identify them? How can you get rid of them? What should you do with them once you've gotten them off the property? Those sorts of things. And I think the best place to park that information really is on the conservation page of the website. I have a link there to that. So started working on that. They mentioned developing some signs for town park or the preserve with QR codes to identify plants that are there. So you can just scan the code and it'll tell you all about it. And there'll be some articles written about invasive plants. Maybe they come up with some flyers and post them in the library and in the town hall, places like that. Jim Therian does a TV show, Slice of Life, I think it's called, on public television.
Oh.
So he's going to interview Connolly that station talking about invasive plants. So that's basically the beginning. And then the next step would be to identify somewhere in town-owned property where invasives are a real problem, prominent location, and then come up with a strategy to eradicate them, and then try and publicize it so that people see, the whole process of getting rid of them and then replanting them with natives. So that's what we've done so far.
I assume this goes way beyond Phragmites. Was Phragmites on the list of there? Just
Well, that is included, but there are many others.
Yeah.
And there are even aquatic invasives. We didn't really get too much into that because that's kind of a whole other subject, but
That was actually
Yes.
one of the talks I sat in on at Khaki Wick was aquatic invasives, which I had no idea.
yeah,
But there's starting to be a real problem on the river.
Yes.
Certain in the
There's a
more
problem.
quieter little coves and.
oh,
There's a lot, at the one end is, somebody told me, I don't know what the names are. There are invasive plants in the summer all over that pond.
I wonder if they are.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'd have to look at my notes. It's a very specific. It's not like a lily pad, but it's one that, has deeper roots. And it's really hard, to get them out once it's really takes hold
Yeah,
and then chokes out. everything else.
So they're gonna be trying to, eradicate these in town parks. I don't know if they'll get through all the parks, but it's gonna be a start.
Yeah.
So that's it, for sustainable Connecticut for now.
Lynette, does shredding count as a sustainable activity? Shredding lots of paper to make it more manageable and dispose of, or no?
So what's the benefit of shredding?
Well, people get rid of a lot of paper that they would just dump into the dump. It biodegrades faster, but I'm not sure whether it would count. Because there's a big activity on that twice a year with the kids in the high school.
Yeah.
Out on.
So,
That's a possibility. It would
I
be,
don't know, that's why I'm asking.
there's one category where you host, events, basically. And, if you do 10 events, you get a certain amount of credit. If you do 20 events, you get more credit. So that could be one of those events. If there's
We've had two in a Rotary sponsoring, but the high school kids do a lot of work.
if there's some sustainability component to it.
I just don't know that.
Yeah. I don't know enough about the benefits of shredding. Is it just a convenience to the,
But for people, it's great because they get rid of all their own.
yeah. I mean, if you used it for mulch or something, instead of sending it to the landfill, then maybe that would
I don't know.
count.
I don't know, but, so you have a shredder in your office, right? So to protect some personal information.
Right,
just shred that
right.
Stuff, and what my wife told me, and I shouldn't bring this up without having a permit, she's usually right. Is that all that shredded stuff in your office can't be recycled. And I said, you're kidding. She said, "No."
Really?
And so bigger commercial shredders.
We did 60 boxes worth, so I
Yeah,
guess.
so those had to be shredded or
Oh.
I don't know,
recycled.
maybe.
She said that, I go, "Oh, it's all looking at that."
I don't know.
I think I may know that only because I think it tears up, it messes up the machines, right? It's this really
Such
fine
fine
stuff. Yeah,
stuff.
and it just jams
That's
them.
right.
Because I think for my own little shredder at home, I think I somehow read that somewhere.
And then do you just
You just
put
put it in the
trash?
garbage, yeah. I mean,
You
That's
compost
what-
it.
you
Doesn't-
could, yeah. If I had big
I was
compost
feeling
piles.
very good going through old files. Oh, there, I'll just recycle it. You can't do that.
Yeah. Okay, staff report.
Oh, I kind of tied those in
Okay,
together.
yeah, I was gonna say, I didn't think there was anything that specific. The fiscal year 22-23 planning. So I feel like we talked about this like forever. And it's been on the agenda, but I don't know that there's a whole lot that we really need to say other than I had sent this out prior to last month's meeting with our little beautify and sustain Old Saybrook. And we had revised this and Larry had done, the suggestion of assigning a point person. And so I think, to my mind, this is pretty final. It's very nebulous, if you will, as far as, I think we agreed not to write down tons of specific, but share. But, the open space monitoring, some of these they've been on, for a while. The coastal cleanup, I think we've talked about, changing that up a little bit and getting other groups involved, raising more awareness in the community and not just have smaller groups of people going out. Earth Day, I think, yeah, Peter's already brought that up. Try to make a plan. Yeah, so you and I are point people. Pollinator pathway garden in Saybrook Point, that was Kelly. And I changed, I just updated it before this meeting. I just said TBD. And I think, we can just talk about how much further we want to go with this. We do need to put more plants in the garden down there because some of them died this summer that I put in. So if nothing else, it's just,
And a sign, we need a sign,
yeah,
come up with some language.
Yeah.
Or display that people can read.
yeah, maybe that's the
Learn
big
about.
thing to work on. Yeah, because even that was back when, I'm drawing a blank. Who's the lady that was in Westerly, that left, who was on the commission?
Oh, Elise?
Elise. She, yeah, she put together a little table and whatever for some of the information and we just never got anywhere with it. So yeah, that's probably the primary thing we should really try to do there is get the sign. And then again, if we decide to expand it into the further gardens, we can do that. And then this other one, the Homegrown National Park, at the next meeting, maybe I'll talk more about this. I brought this up briefly to you guys about 2 or 3 months ago when I went to the talk with Doug Talami down in Guilford, and he's the one that's done so much work with not just the pollinators, but actually planting specific trees and plants for the butterfly, the caterpillars, that the birds and things will eat, because that's one of the primary reasons that the bird population is down so much is they just don't have food. And yeah, they get killed by cats and all of that, but so there's a whole, it's very similar, to the pollinator pathway pieces that, if you plant X tree in your yard and it's going to be there for a very specific caterpillar that a specific bird would, eat. You can just go to this website and put your address there. And so it's pretty straightforward. I don't know all the details. I've been getting a few emails, but I haven't had time to really dive down into it. So I
know that some caterpillars really kill the trees. They eat all the leaves.
Well, yeah, these aren't these are like supposedly the really good ones. The gypsy moths, yeah. Somebody asked him about those actually, and he did kind of laugh and he said, well, yeah, he said there are actually some birds or whatever that eat them, but unfortunately they do totally destroy them. But I think what he has shown is that they're not like the ones that are there are sort of like the monarch butterfly. There's only like a few as opposed to thousands in those little nests and whatever.
Or just some awesome invasive species?
I don't think they are. I
They're
think
not.
he said they weren't. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think they're invasive. I think they're around a long time.
Yeah. I mean, as long as I can remember as a kid.
They're cyclical, they're not every year.
Yeah. So yeah, I think we can talk about that and maybe in one of our education things, with Kathy, tie a little bit more of that into there. And then I think all the rest of this, we pretty much have had this on here. The children's books, collaboration with the library.
She's going to somebody at the library.
Who's going to coordinate the coastal cleanup? Because I'll do that if nobody else. I know,
Sure.
I know the people in the beach communities and that.
Yeah, no, okay, yeah, because I think, we haven't, the biggest thing we've done is Larry and I have, and Peter too, last year we went out and just picked up trash in a space, but
I know
but I
at
think-
least 4 beach communities and the yacht
Yeah.
club do that. Be nice if we could get them to do it the same day.
Do
We-
a sort of a letter and say, here's all the garbage we picked up and here it's a picture in the paper.
yeah, I mean, we tried to do that and we didn't get, maybe you'll get more response.
We'll see. I'll give it a shot.
And then some of them just do it on other days or times, which is really
Do we
fine
have a
too.
date that we want to set yet on that?
Well, it is always
It's the spring or the fall?
fall. It's always in September.
Because it was all part of the Oceans Conservancy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
It
a,
had
I thought it was the
date
third
in
week of
August,
September. I could be wrong.
August or September.
yeah,
I'll find out.
And you don't
Yeah.
have to be at the same date they do it, but they say,
yeah.
here's the lab,
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, they had the whole app and
all kinds of things.
yeah.
Can I, while Karen's here, I'd be curious to hear her thoughts about buying the children's books from the library.
Those are the children's librarian.
Yeah, so I was wondering,
Oh, that's right, because you worked there. Yeah.
yeah,
She was the children's
I was,
librarian.
yeah. I retired.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
so this commission in the past has donated books or money. I'm not exactly sure how it worked. but
well, we had the
they-
money and we would get like
they
a list
books.
from.
Right,
you.
well, that's right, it's coming back to me.
For, some environmental topic. Does it make sense does it make sense for them to do that, like for a commission to pay for another department's books? Like, don't you
Well,
already
basically
have
they-
money for that?
Well, yeah, we have a healthy children's book budget, yes.
Would it make more sense for them to just make the recommendations for the books?
That
And,
wouldn't, no, it's better if no, that probably wouldn't go over too well.
Oh,
So it's
okay.
better if you express an area of interest and then make it go, as we've done in the past.
okay,
And I believe I'm getting you mixed up a little bit now with the garden club, but I think we made a couple of kits. You know, like a knapsack with
Okay.
books and binoculars and field guides and things like that, thematic kits. Those are really great. So when
Oh,
kids go hiking, they have kid binoculars and
They borrow
you know, those
those.
field guides that are like on a ring, you know, and you can flip through and identify birds. And then we got a bird call automatic, you know, bird call identifier to put together. I think we put it together. a
Don't
couple
think
of
that
kits.
was
We
you.
wanted to get
Yeah,
away
it was
from
not us.
agency donating to another one.
That's-
We give the money to the Friends of the Library, which is a very nice,
You
big
can do
group
that.
with the specific purpose of donating to the children's library for books on. That way you'd be giving it to a private group, not to another agency.
I was just wondering, because you have
Yeah.
such a modest budget, that if that was.
Yeah, and it's a historical thing. We were doing it when I came on in
I don't think it's anything.
20, whenever I joined in 2016, 17, and I know it was something that, I'm trying to blank on Richard Hughes. I don't know, as long as he was here, they always did it. They just took $500 or whatever,
Right.
whatever we agreed to, and said, we'd like to buy books for the library. So I don't even know the history. So that's a great question. I'm glad you asked, because I think,
You know, now
but I
you know.
think, yeah.
Very beneficial.
Mhm.
I mean, especially if a kit's put together or. a
But like the
thematic or
kit.
something. Yeah, those are really great.
The kit would be nice.
Because otherwise, if you just, you know, if we just select 10 books on whatever topic.
Right.
They're just gonna be interfiled in the collection.
Yeah.
So they're not as prominent and, you know, it's not a cohesive themed
Yeah.
unit, which those kits used to go out a lot. I'm sure they still do.
Okay. Yeah. So I think,
I like that. That's a good
Yeah, it's
idea.
really good.
Yeah.
You can do, you know, bird theme, plant theme. owl
Pollinators.
theme, you know,
Yeah.
The
Because
other idea, not to belabor this, is to buy a card donated to the elementary school, which could be shit, you know, the kids would use it, you bring it from classroom to classroom, and they would be used in the elementary schools too. They have cards, you know, cards that they bring around. Either one is good.
I think displays are really good at the library too.
Yeah,
You know, like just a triptych, you know, big display with all kinds of brochures and things they can touch and, but, you know, those can go in the kids' room. Well, I'm not children's librarian, I shouldn't say that. But,
were,
displays are really helpful.
And that's
too.
something that could just be purchased. It wouldn't be something that
I mean,
the
you
commission would have to create themselves.
Oh, no, I was thinking of just creating or having a
Oh.
student have the high school create one.
Oh.
Some students could create one.
mhm.
Nothing fancy, you know.
Yeah. I'm looking back through my notes because I think it's been a year since we, I think, donated books. I'd have to go back and look or past minutes.
The last time, I think something happened with the budget. So the library didn't purchase the books. And then we had to
Oh, our
reimburse the
budget.
library, and the budgets didn't work out right because of the fiscal years, and
Yes, that's right.
it got a little mixed up.
Yeah,
It did
you're,
happen, it just got a little.
you're
got
right.
delayed.
Yours closed out, the library closed out or something,
think
and
that was
they
it.
ended up, yeah. Which probably would have been. Yeah, I just don't know if we did it this year. Well, anyway, I think regardless, I think when, in the next meeting or next couple meetings, we can talk about it and
Mhm.
decide what we want to do, because I do like the kit idea.
You could make those for adults too.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
true. Yeah, you're right. We don't have to just, yeah.
A backpack.
Yeah.
And a thermos. After the
Shouldn't
hike.
have said that. Anyway,
Okay, all right, so yeah, so I think we have this as sort of our working document. You know, we say we do this more on a calendar year anyway and not the fiscal year, so I think we're kind of on target to have this as our sort of backbone, if you will. Okay, moving on to land stewardship. Open space monitoring. Don't really have anything to say other than I think we just talked about. No, that's the trail markings.
For those of you, I don't know when I handed this out, we finalized the memorandum of understanding, the updated Great Cedars stewardship. I think we handed this out a while ago, but Mike, you never got a copy. And Karen, I give you Kelly's. And what Donna didn't pick hers up because I don't think she was at that meeting. But I think we talked about that already. We just finalized that. Thank you.
I need to put.
The phases are on the back. The 3 years, the 5 year, 5 more years. So that's between Conservation Commission and Parks and Rec Commission. So.
Do you know, Lynette, the timeline for the, what was that document called? The, not the 5-year plan, but it was the thing that we were updating for Chris Costa.
Oh, the plan of conservation
Plan of
development.
Plan of conservation, because it's
So it's
sort of is
expected to be,
related, but not, but.
it's expected to be updated or yes, updated, I guess, the updated versions are expected to be finished in 2023. So they're doing it section by section.
Right.
You were looking at the, I guess now they're going to call it natural resources and open space, I think, sort of a working title, section. So when all of the sections have been updated in draft form, then there'll be a whole public input process and adoption, probably 2023.
This was, you had brought this up quite a while ago, Mike, when I think you first joined, but in looking at our website, the documents that are there, I think the last time it was done is 2006 and it hasn't been updated, and that's what we're talking about it. So it's been well overdue.
Oh,
But
yes. Yes.
so yeah, I think they have got the money for a consultant, right, to write it, because it's
Yep. They've
it's
been
not a
working on
small piece of, I mean, it's pages and pages and pretty in depth, but
it. I think there are 5 sections.
yeah, because in the past, if you looked at it, in the tables in the back, it was all delineated between land trust and us and all these various people, what we were supposed to do. And it was a little bit daunting. When I looked at it and came on, it's like, wait a minute, we don't have near the bandwidth to do half of this stuff. But I don't think anybody was really paying attention in any kind of way. So I'm hoping that the new version will be better in some, all aspects to sort of be encompassing, but I don't know, a little clearer on who's doing what.
How many acres are in here in east and west and Blockfield? About 600.
About 600.
Yeah.
That's the guess I have. It's about 600 because we had
So
16.
what we own in the, what's in Saybrook, we have about 1,500 acres.
Yep.
In reserve. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's quite a bit when you count cedars and
Yeah.
reserve.
Boy,
It's pretty
I
healthy.
know off the top of my
It
head.
is a wonderful thing, especially if we can get them connected.
Yeah.
Big
I don't want to keep coming back to this grant, but that's a perfect.
Well, that would be, yeah, that would
Perfect,
definitely be a specific one
I think that's a great idea.
For Great Cedars.
to connect to the
That
preserve.
grant would allows you to do that, if you got the grant.
So this, I would think that would be Parks and Rec that would apply for that.
Probably in partnership with a couple of groups. We think we'd have to get some direction on that. And I think we can get Senator Needleman and Devin behind that pretty easily.
Yeah, they would, I think they have the jurisdiction to
Especially
drive it. We can certainly,
Essex.
Yeah. right.
Three communities.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Put in green ways.
The pollinator pathway education, that was Kelly. Just leave it for now. I think, we can talk about it close to the spring, as I said, alluded to earlier about with our little sustain, unified sustain document to see if we want to do anything more beyond just putting in the plants down in the space that we have. So Karen, we have, when did we do this? Over a year ago now. One down by Saybrook Point, kind of the the walkway that's right, if you stand on the walkway, you're looking at Vicky Duffy Pavilion. And two of the gardens, we worked with Ray and Parks and Rec to tear up the rose bushes that were there, the sort of the beach roses. And we planted 2 pollinator gardens. And actually, and there's irrigation down there, which really, really helped. But, and we worked with Bonnie,
Henders?
yeah, Henders from Garden Club, and got a lot of good input from her. We worked with the high school students at the time who did a lot of the research on pollinators and what's good in the sun and the shade and salt and all that. So they did a great, great job. And so we planted things, and it just, and most of them have grown. I think Lynette and I and Kelly were down there. I've gone down, I live close enough, so I go down and maintain it, you know, deadhead things and weed and whatever. Although I think when Freddie Castro goes down and does all the rest of the gardening, I think he sort of goes in there and does some stuff too. But
Somebody must, because it looks
Somebody
pretty good.
yeah, I haven't been down in a while. I went down in like late fall and did major deadheading and but anyway, it just needs to be beefed up. We need to put more plants in there, but
Is that the area like right in front of the outhouse thing?
no, I don't know how
Was
to.
that renovated down there?
It's in the middle
Oh,
of the
no, no,
parking
no,
lot,
it's not.
really.
Yeah.
Oh, you're closer to the pavilion.
Yeah,
very
right.
close
Yeah,
to-
very close to the pavilion. Yeah.
Like one of the parking lot islands, basically.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's what it, yeah.
Way through there. It's wider
know
than
what
you
you
think.
mean
You
now.
don't really notice it.
Yeah, it's true. You really, until you sort of walk down there, you can kind of just walk by it and not really pay any attention. But yeah, it was a good, you know, it's not a bad spot. I mean, everything did pretty well. Nothing outright died. Other than things that I bought from the Connecticut Conservation, whatever they're called, I don't think their plants are very good quality. And so, anyway, okay. Kayak lunch.
So that's on me. And so I've kind of let it set for a while because of the pushback we had from, I wasn't at that meeting, but you told me it was,
Yeah, Rick Swan led the group, the funeral home. They were pretty adamant.
yeah. And so I don't think that's a reason to stop. I think it is a reason to kind of let things settle, and it has. And so maybe to go back and try to figure out what their specific concerns are. Did they raise them out of the fact that they didn't want people parking there?
Well, I have new information on that
Okay.
that I just got, I think today, actually. So, unfortunately, I don't think that location is going to work because, there was some, communication with the state about what would be required to have a kayak launch there. And it's, not very simple. There are a lot of reasons why it wouldn't work.
So who gathers the information?
So this was from Jamie Sidoriak. I think, were you communicating with her at Deep?
She was one of the people I wrote to, and I never heard back from her.
Okay, so this is from her.
Oh,
This went to Scott Mitchell. Okay.
All the
He's the
commissions.
Well, there were three commissions, Harbor Management, Parks and Rec,
Yes, right,
and
yeah.
Conservation
Yeah.
Commission, and so.
Okay, so this went to Carl Fortuna, who sent it to
Mhm.
Chris Costa, who sent it to me.
Okay.
So I'm just seeing this, but the lands, the parcel that we were looking at and the adjacent lands were acquired by deed for tidal marsh preservation using federal and U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service funds. Because of the federal grant term and condition restraints, DEEP would need to seek and obtain concurrence from the Fish and Wildlife Service as part of its multi-divisional staff and resource evaluation. Long story short, control of the property would have to be transferred in order to make that happen, and that's unlikely to happen. It seemed like there are a lot of legal reasons why this would be a major issue. So the town would have to be willing to take title to the property, and then they'd probably have to pay the state back for the property. So it just doesn't, it's not something that the town really
So-
wants to get involved in.
Perhaps one of the things we could do, because we look at all the various places around town, that we thought would be appropriate to have a kayak storage rack and then access to the water. We liked, this was rated number 1 in the small group, and it was Scott Mitchell, myself, and our Parks and Rec Assistant Director.
Assistant director,
Yeah, who worked-
Jonna?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So the 3 of us went around and looked at all these places. And so it is the first choice, especially for people who are inexperienced in kayaking. It's protected waters, there aren't boats going back and forth. It is an absolutely beautiful place, and you can go in, and I paddled it this summer. Last summer, you know, going around, and it is lovely. So maybe, and we accessed it at the time, friend and I, through going to the town beach, Harvey's, and just putting our launching there.
Oh, mhm.
Perhaps it's and it's pretty easy to kind of get access going back up into the marsh from the town beach. It's not perfect, and at low tide, it gets a little tough to get in there.
Yeah,
But if, I mean, that may be something else we should,
Hobbies Beach, you could put one on.
yeah. you
There's a
could-
lot of land not used there.
Yeah,
you
To the south of the beach.
And you can, if you put up a rack and said, okay, here's some parking, it's
Yeah.
already there.
and the parking, that's always been an
And then
issue.
you
A lot
can
of parking.
access
Because
the,
there's a part of that beach area is not used at all. I don't know how the town would build that.
I don't either, but anyway, so it was another thought, is that basically we can't go back there, we've already got parking.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, parking, yeah, would be kind of,
and then you put some racks in, and racks that would be cool. The town would have um, sort of access and look at them and know where they were, take care of them if they needed some repair or anything like that. Turn it over. So if people are okay with that, I'll follow up and see if,
It's a great idea.
yeah, yeah,
A lot of parking,
yeah.
and much of the year it's not used. I mean, you know, in summer. obviously,
Summer, yeah.
it is.
When it's high tide, can you get under the bridges there?
you can.
You can?
Really?
Yeah.
Kayak.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose full moon, high tide, I don't know. I went out.
King tide, yeah.
Yeah, I went out at low tide just to see if I could paddle it at low tide.
Mhm.
I know, because it's pretty low at low.
now which site was this? Was this Harvey's, did you say?
Well, you can go up to Oyster River on one.
Yeah,
too.
you can go out and
Go all the way up.
Yeah.
So what I've heard, I think we discussed this, was going through that bridge was very dangerous. The
Because
bridge
it-
that goes under Plum Bank
Mhm.
Road, because of the volume of water going through a small
Yeah,
space
yeah.
creates a
But if you go the other
pretty
way, up,
strong current.
up the Oyster River, a lot of people kayak on that now. You know, it goes under the bridge on Route 1. Yeah, I guess there's a pretty good tide there too. you know.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, the tide, it's been really high. Like, I
Yeah.
think I was just looking at my tide chart yesterday. I think it was today or yesterday. It was like at 4 feet. It was like the highest. Like, so when it's that high, and I was biking or running down there recently, and I was like remarking because it had flooded the road. It was all wet.
Well, Larry, people
So-
kayak along the shore there, all the way down into Westbrook,
Yeah.
the Salt Island and Duck Island, you know,
Now, that'd be a great spot.
which is a
really.
good spot, right off. You don't have to worry so much about tide rushing in and out.
Yeah.
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 the one bridge closest to Town Beach, right? It's the one that I'm concerned about.
I think that's the one that's getting replaced.
Taste.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's very low.
Yeah, that one is really good.
and that's the one with the strong current, the dangerous
yeah.
current.
There is.
Yeah, you can see it.
So it's not the same bridge?
That's the bridge I was,
It is, okay.
The bridge over Route 1 is a higher bridge.
So are they thinking of raising it?
Oh, yeah, the one down further. in.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they're gonna raise it, so okay, so we're looking.
I'm not sure that that's going to affect the current, though. I think that's still a concern,
Oh,
because they're not making it wider. They're not making the opening any wider.
That's pretty skinny down there too. I mean, really, I mean, even at mid tide, it's pretty low down there.
so anyway, let me look into it, we'll see. Certainly I would kayak that at all tides as much. But certain.
But to go out
there's a
Harvey's
lot of
Beach
other
that
places.
goes south and west.
Yeah.
There's a lot of room to kayak there.
Okay,
Who would I check with to find out if they're gonna elevate that bridge? The one that's the major concern right now.
I can send you information on it. It is happening. It's
Okay.
already been
So they'll have specs as to
Yeah,
how high it would be.
you might have a
We're gonna
copy.
raise it up a little because the water comes right over that bridge in the storm.
I think so.
Yeah, I would imagine. so.
Well, they raised the other bridge, right? The one they replaced?
Yeah, I know, right.
So I'm assuming
Yeah.
they're gonna do something very similar.
Yeah. Yeah, right, right. Okay,
Okay.
all right.
Other improvements was listed with the kayak launch and very briefly, basically, that included sort of putting up boxes and markers within Great Cedars East and Great Cedars West. So there was a concern that people got lost, they didn't know where they were, and then when they called the police couldn't find them. So there are some thought about putting up markers and spaces that said, if you're lost, call, tell them you're at spot 6 or something like that.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, I know
That
that's
was
a
the other thing.
concern for the preserve as well, because people
Yeah.
get lost in there quite frequently. So I think it's,
Probably Great Cedars less so because you're usually within sight of houses.
yeah,
Or oftentimes.
but I think if we do it, I think it should be in conjunction, do it in all
It would be good.
3
Yeah.
big parcels, the Great Cedars, East and West. and
It's sort of a grand plan, right? How to connect them.
Yeah. Yeah.
With a
A lot
unified.
of property.
Yeah, a unified sort of system, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, something like that.
And Town Park as well?
That would be included, yeah, because that's part of,
180
that's
acres.
part of Great Cedars West.
Is Town Park part of Great
think it
Cedars
is,
West?
yeah.
That would be east, no?
Okay. I didn't,
Yes.
I'm looking at.
I thought they were
Larry.
separate, but
Yeah, yeah.
that
yeah.
west?
You're talking about,
Only because I.
yeah, the town, the Clark community or which part? Yeah,
I thought they were separate.
yeah, no, it is. It's all part, yeah. It doesn't seem like
School
it,
Street
but
runs into Clark Park.
I know they're all
Yes.
connected.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Schoolhouse Road.
yeah.
Okay, that's it for me. Thank you.
All right, let's see. Lynette is good at keeping us on track with these dates, so.
I'm not that good because are you looking at the circular?
Well, that's our circular.
Oh,
But Saybrook
this-
events.
Right, the events. I don't have a date in February. I didn't get the date yet. for
Yeah, and I
February.
think we talked back about putting something in the last one, an article, I forget about what, but I think when we didn't meet, it just didn't happen. We didn't have really any event we were gonna write about.
So April through June would include Earth Day if there was something
Yes,
Earth Day activity planned. and That would be the
Yes,
time
so
to
let's-
submit
yeah.
that one.
so January. I'm trying to remember, her deadlines tend to be towards the latter half of the month. So we could have January and February's meetings to decide on what we're doing for Earth Day and have time to get it into the events. So let's keep that on our radar. Circular, that's to our discretion when we want to do it. We have enough material and thoughts for articles, we can put that together again. So I'm still the same woman is there. AC, is that her? Yeah, AC Proctor, something like that I work with at Essex Printing. So she's great, she just formats it.
Okay.
So.
So what's the difference between your quarterly newsletter and that, I guess you're calling it the circular? Is that the same thing?
Yeah,
Oh,
it is. The
Okay.
quarterly, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and we were, I have to say that Richard, my predecessor was better at doing it quarterly. And then I think we continued to struggle for material. It's just us writing articles.
Right.
And so I think it was Larry that said, well, do we have to do it? And there's nobody said that no. And so it was like.
I was just asking, if there's value to do
Yeah, no, but I think when we have might be time to do one maybe in the spring if we have enough things for Earth Day and whatever. So, and, I could do something on the homegrown national park. So,
That's good timing because that's when people are looking,
yeah.
planning.
So maybe
their
maybe we'll
plans.
shoot for doing one in,
I think we should do that coastal cleanup too. Make people aware of that.
Well, and that could tie in, Mike, with what you wanted to try to educate the voters about throwing stuff.
Not just the boaters, it's the beach communities and private property owners and
Yeah.
people who use the town property, the water, you know. We have 15, 16, or 18 miles of shoreline in Saybrook,
Over 20.
over 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. It's a lot of shoreline.
It's
I'm just making a note about the newsletter. And the last item, commission webpage. You and Kelly
So,
were working on that.
yeah, so as I was mentioning before, I'm building an invasive plants page.
Oh, yeah.
It's gonna
okay.
link to the commission webpage. So that should be up within the next couple of weeks, hopefully. And then I'll move on slowly as I can to other topics. We had a whole long list of topics to put on there,
Oh,
but, we could do, next thing could be native plants. We could have a whole page on native plants or pollinators or, that would probably include the caterpillar plants because those would be native plants. There were lots of things that we could add to that commission webpage. So it's kind of a slow process because I fit it in when I can, but
mm,
How many commissions are you, how many boards are you working with?
I work with 4.
Only 4.
Well, three or 4. Aquifer protection doesn't meet that often, but so with them it's 4, but 3 regularly. And the additional outreach is, I would say that's the kind of the social media piece.
yeah.
And since Kelly went on vacation last summer, I did do a couple of posts then. Took me a little while to figure out how to do it. I'm not a social media person. I think that was Plastics Free July. I posted a few things. I don't know how many viewers we have but I haven't done anything since. So I thought I was locked out for a while, but then when Kelly left, I got in touch with her and got her to, make sure that I was able to post on those sites, on that site. So I definitely can, but I don't really have the time to maintain that. So if we had somebody who was social media savvy or interested, it's not very hard to learn. It would be great if someone could just post occasional things or, basically you're reposting things that other people are posting. And that could be, Maddie.
I know, I was gonna say, you could ask Maddie.
She's a
Let's go
senior
with the
though.
youngest person.
I know. She's a senior though, so
I know.
if she takes
I
over,
know.
it's only
Yeah,
going to be for a short
Yeah,
time.
I was just thinking that,
She'll be gone, so.
yeah.
So you're saying that we have a lot of opportunity to link to other commission pages that have information or go to the garden club or something like that and bring their stuff in. The links are I wasn't quite sure.
So I guess what I'm saying is we don't have to, all the content that we put on there, we don't have to create it. You can find articles and just post interesting articles that you read. You could repost other people's posts, things like that. So it's not like you have to, it's not a lot of work, I guess. It's just someone, just keeping up with it.
Yeah.
Like
making
if
sure
it's
the links
Plastics
don't get
Free July,
broken.
I had to go and look for a few. I went to plasticsfreejuly.org or something and just found all of the information that they make available for you.
Right.
And I just posted it. It wasn't really that hard. It's a little time consuming and it's just one more thing. And it doesn't have time. to do
Yeah,
it, so.
no, it's,
So anyway, that's an opportunity for someone who's interested in that sort of thing.
and that you are specifically talking about Facebook right now.
That's really all
Yeah,
that we
that's-
have.
Yeah.
I think we may have had others, but I don't think we ever figured out how to get into them. There might have been a Twitter or something. I don't know.
Twitter.
No? Oh, yeah. Well, let's just stick with Facebook. That's enough.
We'd have to
There's
like apply for,
Instagram.
what is it, a blue dot or a,
TikTok,
or what's
a check mark,
come up with it?
the blue check.
Yeah, the blue check, right, whatever.
I think we can. do
It's not
that.
free.
As long as you have admin rights, like basically
Yeah.
right now,
Yeah.
you can then, because I think that was a big hurdle
Yeah, no, I'm in
several while ago, to just sort of get that sorted out. And as long as you have them, then you can give them to
I think, yeah, I can give it to others.
whoever, yeah, maybe, someone new comes on
Yeah,
or.
so maybe a new member might be, interested in that sort of thing. So, some
mean,
people
I'm
want to get
sure.
out in the field and mark trails, and some people like to sit at their computer and do social media. We don't seem to have a lot of those people. It's a mission.
Yeah. We're gonna start putting a job
Yeah.
posting, must have experience with,
Yeah.
Looking for help.
probably gonna eliminate anyone over the age of 50.
Yeah.
Can you get a junior from the high school or you go with one high school representative?
It's funny, I mean, that's a good question, because the last person was a sophomore, and then she just got really, really busy, and so then the Karen Carlone, who I mentioned earlier, gave us Maddie, who joined in the fall, and she was very enthusiastic, very nice woman, but yeah, she's a senior, so I think the next time I would say, and maybe Karen just wasn't thinking in the moment, but I'll just say, give us someone who's at least gonna maybe be here for 2 years. And get a
Yeah.
feel for the group and.
They can start a project and sort of see it through instead of passing it off.
Send you folks the Interact advisor. If you want me to contact her, I will. Just let me know what you want her to do. They have a big group, that Interact group. They're very good. It's a service.
Oh, for the
Yeah.
trail marking, okay. All right, anything else?
Nope.
So five,
Started late here, kids.
I know, oh my gosh, we are 20 after.
don't
No,
forget,
we didn't meet last month, so, in all of our defense. Okay. We all had a lot to just chit chat about. All right, so, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
All right.
Good job. Good meeting.
Well done. Well done.